Remember, objects are much closer and brighter than they appear in this semi-reflective visor.
Closer? Yes. Brighter? Not really. If you recall previously, as we learned from science and mechanics writer Lloyd Malin, the outer gold visor of an astronaut's helmet reflects 90% of the light shining against it and allows the remaining 10% to pass through. An ND1 filter, such as used in the faceplate of astronaut Ed White, transmits only 10% of the light and reflects or absorbs the other 90%. So the objects seen reflected in these visors are, at most, only 11% brighter than they appear. That's not too bright. Astrobrand is clearly exaggerating. And we established already that the lunar surface is not bright enough to illuminate the shaded side of an object. But Astrobrand claims to have found a flaw with my experiment that proves him right.
Jarrah White has gone to considerable effort to use a black box and models to simulate photographic conditions on the moon. I think this was a good project. Some have complained that the reflective surface around the figure is blocked by the box. True, but the inside of the box isn't completely black either.
The box is not completely black, but the insides are very dark. The only reason it's starting to look lighter is because we took this exposure using f4. It is subsequently allowing more of the box's light into the camera and is making the cardboard look lighter, not dark. The f4 setting is evidently so big that it has made the black asphalt also look white. Even the most amateur of photographers could tell you that.
As an approximation, I'm satisfied. If Jarrah had taken pictures from the side of the box, they would have had to be exposed longer, and this is more the way the astronaut would have appeared. It is important to note that since this picture is taken almost directly toward the sun, the surface is much brighter than it would be if taken from the side, like the Apollo photo was.
This is a moot issue. Here are some photos from Apollo 14, taken looking directly into the sun, and as you can see, the landscape is still correctly exposed. You can clearly make out the mounds, boot prints, and various other surface details, much like in the Buzz Aldrin picture.
So, I have to thank Jarrah for saving me the trouble of doing a similar demonstration. He has proven that the surrounding sunlit terrain, even asphalt, is bright enough to light up the astronaut. How much he is lit up becomes a matter of camera exposure. So, thank you, Jarrah. Thank you for proving conclusively that there is absolutely no reason to assume that the Apollo photographs were taken using any kind of secondary artificial lighting.
There is no need for thanks, because I proved no such thing. Quite the opposite, in fact. The only reason why the astronaut is lit up is because I had to open the aperture all the way up to f4. And just to brighten up the front of the lem, I needed to increase the shutter speed to 1/20th of a second. Astrobrand would have known this had he bothered to read the subtitles. Using f4 in general greatly overexposes the landscape, which is clearly not happening in the Buzz Aldrin picture. Even the surface area to the right of the astronaut is greatly overexposed. Astrobrand loves pointing out how dark the lem shadow was in the Buzz Aldrin photo. How did he miss this? The f4 1/20th of a second exposure has made the ground shadow appear lighter. Whether the camera was pointing towards the sun or sideways is completely irrelevant. In this 16mm feed, with its cameras back to the sun, you can see Armstrong coming down the ladder. He is black as pitch. To illuminate him, Aldrin needs to open up the aperture, which greatly overexposes the landscape.
Buzz, this is Houston, F2, 1160th second. for shadow photography on the sequence camera.
There is no way around it. You can't have objects illuminated in shadow and the landscape correctly exposed at the same time. In order to correctly expose the landscape, as seen in the Buzz Aldrin picture, we would need to close the aperture up to f11. And as you can see, even looking in towards the sun, our Lego man has faded into pitch blackness. Now, I'll be honest, during the production of this video, I too noticed that the Lego man looked quite bright in my f4 1/20th of a second exposure. But still, this photo is quite devastating to the Apollo pictures, as there is no way to correctly expose the landscape and the figure at the same time. I wondered if any propagandist would be stupid or dishonest enough to try and use this picture to prop up their arguments. It seems I got my answer. Astrobrand, did you really think you could use my own picture against me? Did you really think you could overthrow a formally trained photographer? Especially when you mistake smudges on poor quality negatives for the moon and evidently can't be bothered to watch my videos the whole way through. I thought not.